Lesotho will hold early elections in February next year. The Deputy President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, made the announcement at a briefing in Maseru yesterday. This decision has come as part of SADC-facilitated peace talks following an attempted coup in the Mountain Kingdom in August. Ramaphosa was mandated by SADC to lead the talks. For more, we are now joined in the studio by Gideon Chitanga from the University of Johannesburg's Center for the Study of Democracy. Gideon, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome, Dan.
Very good news for Lesotho, and hopefully this latest declaration will work.
I think it's an important achievement indeed, demonstrating the statesmanship skills by the Deputy President of South Africa, and the gravitas of South Africa is an African champion, the biggest economy in Africa and the biggest economy in the SADC. I think South Africa had to actually apply its leverage to immediately get some concessions under very difficult circumstances characterized by intense factional fighting in Lesotho. And to that extent, the deal is really an important step.
Yeah, and all the parties are signatories to it. What I found interesting when you and I last discussed the Lesotho issue was the role of the king. From what Ramaphosa announced yesterday, the king will reconvene parliament as soon as in 2 weeks' time. That Parliament's only business is going to be to prepare a budget, agree on a budget for the elections and prepare for the elections. So the king is being used, although he's got a ceremonial state role, he's being used here as a unifying figure. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I think during in the course of the factional contestation, he remained above the factional politics in the country, above the jostling and the jockeying, and to that extent, he looks like the legitimate authority outside the government, which had been caught in a crisis, which eventually triggered the coup. So in the next 6 months, it simply means the 6-point roadmap is going to be presided over by the king himself.
And the king, they've also given him the authority to set the date for the elections.
Yes, to set the date for the elections, which under normal circumstances would have been the role of the prime minister. But the prime minister, having been deeply involved in this intractable fighting with the other factions, it was going to be difficult for other parties to accept that.
What I don't still understand is how the tension between the army and the police is going to be managed here. I mean, Ramaphosa did say that there is a SADC mission observer whose time will be extended today, and it includes military personnel, police personnel to assist in that. Because we saw some shooting earlier this week, about I think on Tuesday, between the police and the army.
If you look at this declaration, I think compared to the other declarations I've had to look at, it's very comprehensive. From the explanations we had from the Deputy President yesterday, there is clarity on a number of issues. I think that he identifies clearly that Lesotho has a political problem and Lesotho has a military problem. And the presence of a SADC mission in a state in crisis is unprecedented, because lately we used to know this shuttle deployments where mediators are moving in and out. Right now, SADC is that mission simply says we are present here to manage things on a day-to-day basis.
We are staying here until the elections have been held.
So SADC will be proactively involved in the transition phase in the next 5 months in dealing with all the critical issues. And I think Ramaphosa makes it clear that the military, the relations between the police and the military are a problem. The mandate of the military is clearly overstretched. And further than that, of course not very clear, but it's implied that there is a realization that this is not a legal issue, it's a political issue that has to be dealt with by the people of Lesotho with the help of SADC.
Yeah, so SADC is just playing a supportive role. Just very briefly, how this pans out in the next few months up to the elections, how it's well handled, surely is going to be a feather in the cap of SADC's ability to help a state, a member state that could be facing political trouble. So it's good news for governance in this region.
Yes, but definitely the challenge of all settlements is in the implementation phase. And And beyond the implementation phase, it is to address the structure or context within which these fighting manifests. And I think the fundamental problem in Lesotho is the mutation of politics with the socio-economic factors, issues of poverty, issues of underdevelopment, where you get the state as the sole source of power, influence, and patronage. And this is the problem in the long term. So the military, as long as the state is the only source of wealth and power and influence, the military will be involved. Political elites would be solely interested in controlling the state. And that's the challenge that the people of Lesotho will have to deal with going forward.
Thank you very much. That's Gideon Chitanga from the University of Johannesburg Center for the Study of Democracy.